who want Salford to succeed. I've always had a soft spot for Salford. But that's my sad take on Salford. Come at me, Salford fans, I guess.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
2,200 on at the weekend. They only had that for, I think, the Huddersfield League game last year. So, that was a positive.
Yeah, if people could get down and put a bit more cash in the coffers, it might help.
It's a nice stadium, and the new road's good, and I really like the Salford fans.
Oh, but the parking's crap.
And yeah, the parking is crap, but hey ho, park on the airport. But yeah, I like Salford so much, but I can't say anything else, guys. Can any of you say anything else? Tim, you've got them 12th, so you can't.
Yeah, I had predicted a Hastings injury in the first half of the season, which writes them off.
Sarah, can you tell us how Jansen Turgot's going to be maybe the rising star player, one of the younger members of the squad?
I think he will. I love Jansen Turgot. I think he's a brilliant player. I don't think he got the run he should have at Hull. I think he could offer great things to Salford. I've got such a soft spot for Salford as well. I don't know whether that's just because of Owen or why it is. But
the context, because Owen doesn't get in touch as much as he used to, which is Owen's fault, and Owen's fault alone. But Owen is Sarah's brother-in-law who actually got Sarah
small children
onto the show. Yeah, he has got a pair of little, a brand new baby, hasn't he? So congratulations to Owen and Helen on that.
Yeah, it was Owen that introduced me to the pod. So sorry, everyone, but you can blame Owen. But yeah, I don't know whether, I love Owen's philosophy of I've fallen in love with this game of rugby league and I'm going to support my local club, who at that point was Salford. But yeah, I think Turgot isn't enough on his own, but I do think he'll do well for them, even if he played. Did you see his tweet on Twitter the other day that he'd played the friendly on Sunday in his 2018 shirt by accident? He pulled the wrong one out of his bag. But there you go.
Noticed that, but that should have stood out. But I didn't pick up on that at all. I'll tell you what about Salford, to end on a positive after I was so damning on them. What they did deliver on Sunday for a friendly game was a great level of intensity. They started the game really well. They drifted off in the second half and they started to make a few errors. But I just think that's where they're at as a side against a Wigan side that's got lots more, had loads more depth to throw off the bench and big young forwards at Wigan. But Salford showed loads of intensity and they should be proud of their side. That's for certain. Anyone else want to throw anything in quick on Salford?
No.
Then we shall move on to St Helens. So everyone's favourites to win all the trophies, as we heard from the predictions show, and to finish top to get the treble is St Helens, Tim. So let's go through the fan views first. I'll start. St David, he expects St Helens to build on the huge improvement they saw in 2018, breaking their semi-final jinx and making both major finals and winning one.
Grace says some good rugby.
Stuart Ross expects attacking, eye-catching, flowing rugby with strong defence.
Alan Fairclough says entertainment.
Matthew expects at least one big trophy, either the Challenge Cup or the Grand Final.
Lee says absolutely fabulous.
Jack Bishop, they're very concise, aren't they, Saints fans? Jack Bishop says hopefully we get to Wembley or Old Trafford.
Mark says with the loss of Barber, I think Saints will play a slightly different way. We've got plenty of depth with the new signings that can play in different positions. We'll be in the top two again this year and we can get to the Super League Grand Final.
Charlotte Nixon says, I would like to expect at least a trophy of some sort and good team sportsmanship. Work hard all together.
Alan Asher says play with flair.
Frogmore expects a Saints treble. He says he doesn't even expect it. It's just going to happen.
And there we go. And finally, Neil Connolly says to play entertaining rugby.
I mean, a lot of similar themes there. The Saints have been dubbed the entertainers over the years, haven't they? And I think everyone's...
We can't write them off, Mark.
Everyone's expecting that to continue, though, aren't they? The entertaining factor, Tim, from what we've seen from that. Do you expect them to keep entertaining with the changes they've made in the squad?
I think they do. I think if you look at I think Nagama and Joe Paolo in particular are going to provide that bit of using the word again, but I can't think of something else. But X Factor.
Special moments.
Sparkle.
Yeah.
A bit of sparkle,
yeah,
darling.
That's one for our old friend Dargana, a bit of spark. He loves a bit of spark, doesn't he? Does our Dar.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sparkly eyes and all that.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think Joe Batchelor's going to go really well as well. I've seen him at York, and also he played at Coventry before that. I think he's definitely what I'd have as their rising star. I think he's going to. It'd be interesting to see how much he does get into the team, but I think he's versatile enough that he could well fit in, especially if they get some injuries. I think he's certainly someone who wouldn't let them down.
Yeah, I mean that sort of covered the gains. Do you want to run through the losses and give us your views on any of those?
Ben Barber, who is hopefully curing his bout of homesickness. Ben Morris, Matty Smith, we talked about. All the big
cash might help that, yeah.
Yeah. Matty Smith, who's obviously sunning himself down in Catalan. Kevin Brown and his drain pipe head.
Not that Kevin Brown.
And, not that Kevin Brown. Oh, the other Kevin Brown.
Some other Kevin Brown.
Yeah, a mystery Kevin Brown. And Liam Cooper, and who's gone out on loan, along with Ryan Morgan, who's obviously down in London.
Yeah, so who do you have? You talked about Joe Batchelor as your rising star. What about your star man? And we know you think they're going to win the cup from the predictions show, but where do you think they're going to finish in the league?
I think Nagama, in terms of star man, I think he'll replace Barber and then a bit more in terms of sparkle.
Do you not see him more as a replacement for Ryan Morgan in the centre and Lachlan Coote to be the replacement at fullback?
Yeah, I just think in terms of how they'll, the driving force, they'll sort of switch the way of their playing. They're pretty much similar to Leeds did in the early years of Moon,
right?
And
okay.
having that sort of go forward from someone that can do both things in the centres. I've got them finishing first in the league, similar to last year. I don't think they've actually lost all that much.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just, again, that consistency that they had, that they just ground out. I think we did miss someone on the losses. We missed our dear old friend John Wilkin.
Fair shout. Yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I've got them finishing first. I'm not predicting them to win either of the major trophies, but I do think probably a final might come along their way. They've lost quality, but they've brought in quality to replace them, like you said, Tim. They've lost. They've got a lot of strike and some of the best players in the league, haven't they? I can't help but see them being there or thereabouts again, really, based on all that. The most exciting thing will be the return of Alex Walmsley. He's going to come in alongside the brilliant Luke Thompson, and then you've got rising stars who like to put the body about a bit, Matty Lees and Jack Ashworth as well, to potentially punch holes in defences. That front line forward pack's going to be dead exciting. Maybe the interchange rules might have an impact on these rampaging forwards, down to 8 from 10, but then they've got Roby, who frees up interchanges by being able to go the full 80 all the time.
Yeah.
So that might not really... I predict another league leaders shield for them, and I think this time, Tim, they might celebrate it, knowing how tough it actually is to back that up then and win finals in this competition nowadays. They might celebrate that league leaders shield that I think they're going to pick up this year. Although I tipped Alex Walmsley on the prediction show for the Man of Steel, James Roby is my star man for them. He always will be until he's too long in the tooth to deliver, but absolute star player, isn't he? Absolute star of Super League. My rising star, I've gone for young Jack Wellsby. Kind of half-back or full-back, probably going to find his place as a full-back. If I'm going to shoot to Sarah in a second, actually. But if Lachlan Coote's got an injury, then he might get a game early doors as well. That could be exciting. He played in the England Academy game, scored a few tries, so that was impressive. Sarah, you've seen St Helens play. You've picked that they're going to finish in second. Does what you saw from them change that in any way?
Well, I wasn't overly impressed with that Kevin Nakema or however you want to pronounce him. Him as well. Yeah. You still can't say Mark Sneed, so we won't worry too much.
I know you can't. Yeah, it's snide, isn't it? Good point.
Snood.
Good point.
Lachlan Coote picked up an injury from seemingly not a lot, really. it was just one of those things. But yeah, no, they still looked good.
Did it look major, or did it just look like a knock?
It was a really hard one to tell. I don't think it was anything serious. Yeah, they looked good, but their scores came through, Matty Dawson-Jones. So that's not necessarily like the biggest advert of them.
What about the way they were setting up? Did that look any different from last year? Because obviously last year they set up to basically make holes for Barber and to an extent Mark Percival as well. But Lachlan Coote's a little bit of a different kind of fullback, probably a more passing fullback. Did they set up a bit differently, Lee?
Yeah, they did. I thought Zeb Tyre had a really good game. He scored the first try, and he looked like he's improved yet again. I think it'll be interesting to see how they go, because in one sense the score flattered us because they could have scored a lot more, and I think they missed 4 kicks as well. But on the other hand, none of the tries were sort of breathtaking. So yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how they go, to be honest.
Alan, you've got them winning the grand final. We heard about that on the prediction show. Do you think they're going to romp to that league leader shield too?
I think they will. I think they'll finish top. I don't think it'd be quite a romp, not quite as clear as it was this year, to be honest. But I think I still think they're the class of the field. I think Lomax is one of those players that he's so flexible in where he can place himself. He gives you that quality and as I say, flexibility in how you set up in terms of if there is an issue with Coote, you slip Lomax in there or whoever. He gives you that flexibility in how you set your team up. I just wanted to mention that you may already mentioned him briefly about Matty Lees. I think he'll have a good year. Perhaps a little bit less pressure with hopefully Walmsley back to his best, but I think that kind of 1-2 punch when the interchanges do come round, whether obviously less frequent than they were last year, but yeah, I think he's going to be a good player for them this year.
Yeah, as long as he bottles some of those nasty shots that he occasionally delivered, I think he's going to be a star, like you say. So good shout. Right, I think all pretty unanimous. Saints are going to be right up there and performing well this season. That feels so fucking horrible to say, but they are
right off the Saints.
They are the entertainers, and we should never write them off, like you say. But we are going to move on from them, and we'll talk about Wakefield Trinity next.
Yep, so time to move down to Bellevue and talk about the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats, or whatever it is they're called these days. Is it the Mobile Rocket still?
The Mobile Rocket. The Wildcats are only the junior supporters group, and yeah, take it away.
There you go. I don't pay attention to this news. See also Huddersfield. So, Sarah, you're going to start us off by saying what the Wakey White has to say.
Yep, so Wakey White says it's hard to tell what to expect. Wakey have recruited well, but so have a few teams. I think if we can keep the injury fairy away, then we have a chance of doing something special. I'll say 6th in the league and the Challenge Cup final.
Yeah, Mark Wilson says Wakefield will continue to be a threat across the park. An even bigger pack with a great kicking game will allow us to control a great kicking game to dominate field possession and trouble opponents. A year-on-year improvement with proven combinations will allow for the most exciting and I predict achievement for Wakefield in Super League and the Cup.
Craig Sherwood says more consistency should that be from Wakefield?
Yeah, Ben Long says I think that with a pack that boasts the likes of David Fifita, Paulie and Matty Ashurst, and a backline possessing the likes of Ben Jones-Bishop, Tom John Stones and Bill Tupu, we should definitely be having a strong season and will be tough to beat at home. Unfortunately, I believe we'll finish 6th, just missing out on the playoffs.
Dave says he expects a top 5 finish, then who knows? Good cup run, final would be nice.
And finally, Daniel Cook says finish 5th in the grand and win the grand final, which would be interesting if it happened. Anyway, so let's have a look at their recruitment to start us off with.
Not got a lot going on, have they?
No, but is it just a case of little additions rather than having to do anything wholesale?
Yes, so they're losing Liam Finn, Scott Griggs, and Lee Kershaw on a season